Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our School on Wheels workshop today, Become a School on Wheels Advocate. My name is Amanda Carr, and I'm the Engagement Specialist at School on Wheels. And today's workshop will be led by two other of our staff members, Sinead Chilton, who is the Marketing Director, and Lisa Pullens, who is our AmeriCorps Vista for Marketing and Communications. So just a few notes before we get started. For purposes of sound quality, all participants are currently muted. You have the ability to ask a question at any time using the question pane, so simply type in a question and press send. We will save our questions until the end of the presentation. You may also wish to use headphones for better sound. So Sinead and Lisa, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to you now. Welcome.
Hi there. Thank you so much, Amanda. This is Sinead. I'm the Marketing Director for School on Wheels.
Hi, and I'm Lisa. I'm the Communications and Branding Associate for School on Wheels.
So let's get started. Thank you all so much for being here today. We're going to talk about how to advocate for School on Wheels and the homeless children we work with. You're all very welcome. I hope by the end of this webinar, you'll have all the tools you need to go out and tell your School on Wheels story to the next person you meet and to be able to promote School on Wheels in your community. We decided to host this webinar because these are uncertain times and we know that the number of homeless children and families is going to increase. There are 2.5 million homeless children experiencing homelessness in the USA, and the children that we work with may also be undocumented. However, if you have any specific questions or have any concerns about a family or a student you're working with as a volunteer tutor, please talk to your regional coordinator or ask us any questions after this webinar if you have any specific circumstances or issues. Today, we really need to tell people that education is important. When you ask somebody who volunteers why they work with School on Wheels, the majority don't state homelessness as the reason, but state the importance of education and wanting to make a difference in the life of a homeless student. So that's the main motivator for getting involved in the first place. You know, our volunteers are changing lives every day by being a part of School on Wheels and this movement, can we call it that? Even something as small as getting your students to hand in their homework or helping them study for a spelling test is worth telling somebody about. You are great, you are awesome. What's more important, your student is more awesome. Can you say that? So you are the best advocate for our organisation. You're walking the walk. You're donating your time and your talents. You're making a difference. And who better to encourage others to learn about homeless kids and how they can help those kids than you? When you talk, people will listen because you're part of that solution. When people talk about advocacy, one of the top how-tos is to lead by example. This is a really good idea and it works. If people know that you work with School on Wheels, people are already supporting you and are more likely to love School on Wheels and what we do and support us because they see you living the cause and being part of the movement. And it's like, you know, School on Wheels, what is School on Wheels? What do we do? If you asked anybody on the street, they might not know. They'd be like, Meals on Wheels, School on Wheels, do you have a bus? So it's very difficult and much easier for you to talk about it because you know what we do and how you help. So we really need your help to raise awareness and attract more like-minded people. Share your story so people can understand what it means to be a homeless child and empathise and want to do something about it. And let people know that School on Wheels is a non-profit that survives only through contributions of like-minded people who want to donate and want to see education as a level playing ground for all. You are part of a small but mighty team called School on Wheels that's making a difference every day. You should be really proud of that, and let's share your story and that of your students and encourage others to join us. So in order to talk about School on Wheels, you need to know who we are. Obviously, you've all been to trainings if you're volunteers and know about us, but a quick refresher for anybody who's joining us for the first time or wants to find out more about School on Wheels. We were Founded in 1993 by Agnes Stevens, a retired school teacher who understood the importance of education to homeless students and saw firsthand the unique challenges they faced. We were then, and still remain, the only organisation in Southern California dedicated exclusively to the educational needs of this fragile population. Agnes saw firsthand that in order to help homeless kids succeed in school, they needed extra one-on-one help. They were behind in class because of missed days at school. Class sizes are large, and it's very difficult for teachers to provide that undivided attention just to one student. So what started out as a simple idea by a teacher became School on Wheels. So why do we exist? Last year we had the privilege of working with 3,400 students, and we've grown exponentially in terms of volunteers, the areas we serve, the services we provide, the students and the outreach we offer. Did you know that we have a digital learning program and online tutoring? Did you know that we have monthly webinars, in-person trainings, a revamped learning centre in the heart of Skid Row? We gave out dozens of scholarships and raised $2 million, and that was all just last year. But we have lots to do. The number of homeless children in just the geographical areas that School on Wheels serves is on the rise. If you want to know why, we have resources for you at the end of this webinar, but they're the same as ever. Lack of affordable housing in California, low-paying jobs, lack of affordable health care, and desperate poverty are just a few of the reasons why families experience or become homeless in Southern California. As an advocate, become familiar with the School on Wheels story and why we exist. It started with one person, Agnes, who wanted to make a difference. And last year we had the honour of working with over 2,200 volunteers who took time out of their busy day to help a homeless student with their studies, to talk to them about school, inspire them to keep learning. Our kids and their families are barely surviving. They're living through traumatic times that many of us can't even begin to imagine. You have given our kids purpose at school again.
So hi everyone, this is Lisa. So basically the purpose of this webinar is to get you excited about advocating for School on Wheels, and this really is a great opportunity to show your support for us, even if you're not a tutor. So we're inviting you to join us and advocate. For this webinar, Advocacy is supporting our mission of educating homeless youth by speaking in favor of School on Wheels, and we are going to provide you with the tools to do that. So now we want to hear from you. How did you hear about us? There's going to be a poll coming up in just a second here, and then we want you to let us know, how did you hear about us? We're always looking for ways to connect with more potential volunteers and advocates like yourself, and hearing from you will give us an insight on what we can do to reach out to more people. Okay, so we see that it's a mix. Looks like Volunteer Match and other websites seems to be popular, getting referrals from family, friends, and coworkers. All right. Well, that's really some good feedback. Okay, so basically, our top answer is pretty much what you guys shared with us. So Volunteer Match and other websites such as Craigslist is one of our top ones. People just searching for us in the search engine such as Google or Bing, and then of course word of mouth is a really big one. So now we're going to go ahead and transition into what your story is. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sinead.
Hi. So looking at where you came from, you might have found us on Volunteer Match, or you might have heard about us from somebody, a friend, a family member, a co-worker. Volunteers are our greatest advocates because as a volunteer, it's still the best way to draw people in. We know how you heard about School on Wheels, but what's your experience been like? Think about how you would tell somebody about School on Wheels and what you do. Who do you tutor? How old are they? Where do you meet? What are they like? How have you helped? What do you gain from this experience? So just a quick disclaimer here before I talk about my story. Obviously we want you to be cognizant of your student and their family's confidentiality. Remember not to share personal details when you're talking about your student, but of course you can use their first name, but maybe not share their address or the school that they go to. Just be aware of the family's confidentiality and the tough times that they're having. I've worked one-on-one with lots of students over the years. I became a School on Wheels tutor back in 2003, but none of the kids that I've met affected me as much as when I met Elizabeth's family for the first time. I'd just been to Vaughan's doing some shopping, and I was in my car. At the traffic lights I noticed a family panhandling. There was a mom and 3 girls. I had some flyers in my passenger seat for School on Wheels. As a marketing director of School on Wheels, you'd think I'd have them all the time, but not always so close to hand. So I pulled up and I gave one to Mum. She was interested in the programme, and I said I'd come back with backpacks and school supplies because our office was just around the corner. I half expected them not to be there when I got back with the crayons and markers and new backpacks, but they were. And then a week later, we matched 2 of the girls with tutors. The youngest was only 3 and was not ready for a tutor just yet. But both Elizabeth and her sister were already enrolled in attending school, but told me they'd moved schools a lot. We met each week in the library. The family bounced from motel to motel, and each week brought a new struggle. I never asked too many questions about where they were staying, but if it was mentioned in passing, Elizabeth always used to just sigh and say, "It's complicated." Her life was very complicated, but for her, school wasn't. It was a refuge and a safety net. She found learning easy. Of course she got frustrated and didn't like doing homework, but she knew instinctively that that's what she should be doing. And having School on Wheels there and me helped her focus on that. She completed homework, worked on reports. We even completed the dreaded mission project with a trip to Michael's store. We worked together for a long time. She got a scholarship for School on Wheels to play soccer with AYSO. She moved from elementary school to middle school. And although she was still living in a motel, the family was stable for a while. Then things got really complicated. As a result, the family moved away and we lost contact. I know that during our time together, Elizabeth excelled at school, had 100% attendance, and was really proud of that fact. She might not have always got all A's, but she was at school every day, and that really mattered to her. Our weekly meetings meant a lot to me and her at the time, and I know School on Wheels helped her and her family at the most desperate point in their lives. But what I'm trying to say about our kids is it's complicated. We can't throw a picture of on Facebook about them and say, didn't they do well in this test, or show their smiling faces. They don't want people to know that they're homeless. They don't want other kids to know, and they especially don't want people to feel sorry for them. Elizabeth once asked me to participate in her school drive and bring her jars of peanut butter so her class could win the pizza party for the most donations received. Only she told me later that her family were the ones that received those jars of peanut butter that her class was collecting, and she thought it was quite ironic, even at that young age. But the best stories are obviously the glorious ending stories, the ones where you tutor a kid and they get all A's, and then you get a full ride to college and the family moves into permanent housing. The end. But at School on Wheels, our volunteers very rarely have those stories to tell. Most might have a part of that, a student gets all A's in a test, or a family moves into permanent housing, but we as volunteers very rarely get to see the end of our student's story. In fact, the average tutoring relationship is around 9 months, and typically the families we serve are homeless for 6 months or less. You may never see the inside of a homeless shelter like the one on the screen, which is the Union Rescue Mission in downtown Los Angeles, and this photo was taken just a few days ago. Many of our volunteers meet their students in public places, like a library or an after-school club. So it can be hard to empathise for a kid that is reticent about homework or doesn't really want to be sat with you right now. But remember, just by being there or telling someone about how you made a kid smile today, or you helped a homeless kid have a light bulb moment and get it, can make the rainiest of days in California sunny again. We all have stories to tell, so hone yours about School on Wheels and start sharing. We need to hear your stories, and you need to tell your friends and family and co-workers and your community what you are doing and why they should care like you do about homeless kids, and invite people to join us.
Great. So now we're going to get into some tools that we can provide you with to advocate and how you can use them. So first up, we have the website. Here we'll show you how to find and share our contact, donate, and retrieve some promotional materials, which leads me into my next one. That will just provide you with any flyer, brochure, if you want to download, save, or print at your convenience, and where you can go on the website to find that. Next up, we have social media. Here we'll show you how to share our content on your social media and how to tag us in any of your posts. Next up, we have events and fundraisers. They're usually occurring throughout the year. Just by showing up gives us the opportunity to meet you and hand out other promotional materials and school-on branded products such as t-shirts and bags. And then lastly, we're just going to conclude this webinar with some resources that you guys can have. So first up, we have the website. Here we'll show you how to find promotional materials, how to keep up with us by finding the latest news, and how to share and like our content on social media, and of course, donate. So first up, we have most of our information on the very bottom of the homepage. If you go on our website, you can stay connected to us by liking us on any of our social media sites. You can join our mailing list. That way you can see any upcoming events, receive our newsletters. You can find out what's in the news, and of course see any upcoming events. So next up, we have promotional materials. So in order to retrieve any kind of promotional materials, you're just going to go ahead and click blog. It's going to be on the top right corner. Then you're going to go ahead and click advocacy, which is under categories, and then there you can have access to any of the promotional materials that you see here in the picture. Of course, you're not going to be able to download things like the business volunteer card, bookmarks, and postcard, but we'll go ahead and get into that later. So next up, how do you find the latest news and keep up with us? So that's also going to be underneath the blog as well. Once you go under categories, you can go ahead and click in the news or events. Here there's a video that CBSLA just recently did on the Skid Row Learning Center. It was a really great video that Pat Harvey did, and if you really see something that you like, all you have to do is click share, and you can share it on your Facebook or Twitter. So now we're going to go ahead and get into how you can spread the word.
So we've talked about the tools you can use. Let's work out which ones are best for which scenario. So you reach and talk to so many people, many more people than you think during your busy day. Before we even get to work, do you go to the gym, drop your kids off at school, grab a coffee from your local store, or even go to church? These are places that you can promote School on Wheels in your community. Does your coffee shop have a bulletin board? Put a flyer on it. Does your school PTA have fundraisers? Ask if you can put School on Wheels names forward. Does your gym have a front desk? Ask if you can put brochures on it. Does your church have a newsletter? Ask if you could add School on Wheels in there and say that we need volunteers. If you work in an office, do your colleagues know you volunteer with such an awesome organisation like School on Wheels? Do you have flyers on your desk? Does your boss know you are an amazing volunteer tutor? You never know, you might get time off to volunteer. Your organisation might even have Dollars for Doers program. You would be amazed how much money you can raise just by doing what you're already doing. Does your office host drives? How about a back-to-school drive? And collect backpacks and school supplies for School on Wheels in time for the start of the new year, the new school year. School on Wheels distributes thousands of backpacks every year, and we would love to get you or your organisation involved. Does your work host community events? Would School on Wheels benefit from having a booth there? And finally, friends and family. Hopefully we've already given you some ideas of how you can tell your School on Wheels story, but you, our volunteers, tend to be a modest lot. Have you even told your friends and family about us? Start there. If not, why not? As we've shown, word of mouth is one of the best ways people hear about School on Wheels, because the person telling the story is somebody they already trust. If you heard an advert on the TV claiming that it'll cure your cold, you wouldn't run out and buy that product necessarily. But if your mum told you, oh, I saw this great product and it really works, you would listen. It's the same with us. As an organisation, we can say we're amazing because of what we do and how we help homeless children, but at the end of the day, we're getting paid. You're not. As a volunteer, it's so much more important that you talk about the work you do. If you put into context and say, I meet this kid every week that lives in a group foster home. He's really trying hard at school, but he's missed so much work that I just help him with his multiplication tables. That means so much more. And you're not just helping him, you're helping him to succeed. So don't be afraid to share with your friends and family. And where do you share with friends and family these days? Social media.
Great, Sinead. And now we're going to go ahead and just talk about how you can share contact on social media, as I mentioned earlier, and how you can mention us in your post by just using @SchoolOnWheels. So here we have a couple mentions on Twitter from our good friends and supporters, actors Heather Hemmons and Kevin Bacon. They just mentioned us on Twitter by using @SchoolOnWheels. By doing this, they're showing their support to us, and we get notified if we're tagged in any of the posts. That way we can like and share it. Another example is from the Eisner Foundation. They also mentioned us on Facebook just by using @SchoolOnWheels. And then here's a really good one on Instagram from one of our tutors. So one of her students actually did this really cute drawing, and I just thought it was so adorable, and I wanted to share this. And these are kind of more the stories I would really like to see from our tutors and volunteers. So if you do happen to be a tutor and you have a student who just does really well on a test and you really want to share how they're succeeding in school, please post this on our social media or on your social media and just use @SchoolOnWheels. So we want to hear from you. Popular hashtags are really, really trendy right now on social media. So there's going to be a poll popping up in just a second, and we just want to know, do you know what a hashtag is?
So what do people have to do, Lisa? You just have to click yes, no.
Yeah, so basically, do you know what a hashtag? No, or what's a hashtag? So it looks like the majority is voting yes. You guys do know what hashtags are, so that's really, really good to know. Perfect, and then there you can see the results. So it's really nice to know that a lot of our volunteers and advocates are social media friendly. Perfect. So here are some popular hashtags that a lot of our tutors and supporters use. Just ask a tutor. We have that every Tuesday. Education success, if your student is doing really well. Why a volunteer, success stories. Just share why you're a volunteer. Promotional materials. So as I mentioned earlier, materials are a huge way to advocate for School on Wheels, and some of the materials in this image, such as the bookmarks or the volunteer business cards, aren't on the website. So if you do want to get access to any of these materials, I put an email at the bottom of this page. It's marketing@schoolonwheels.org. Just request any of the materials in the image shown with a mailing address and how many you want per item, and we will send it out to you as soon as we can. So now I'm going to get a little bit into events and fundraisers. So coming to any of the School on Wheels events is always a great way to show your support. It's also a great way to get to know the staff and some of the other volunteers. Upcoming events are listed on our website, monthly newsletters, and on our social media. Above are big 3 events that we had this past year: the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Home Walk, and the Einstein Record.
Joining us at one of these events is a great way to advocate, especially in November when we take part in the Home Walk, which is a walk by lots of other non-profits and organizations that are working with the homeless population, and everybody comes together to advocate for homeless children and homeless youth and homeless adults, and it's a great day to walk the walk and show your support. We also have fundraising events. You're more than welcome to join us and invite like-minded people and friends. So just keep an eye out, and School on Wheels spends a lot of time on our program, and so the events that we do have are always great fun, and it takes time to host these events, and it would really be great if you could join us and show your support that way, and get other people to join us too. So here we've put together a list of resources. A lot of these are already on our website. You can go to our website, and if you look up Advocacy, as Lisa said, you can see all the list of flyers and forms that you can download. There's also a page on our website, what are some resources to find out more about homelessness in the USA and how I can help. Here you'll find lists of books that you can read. You can find information that you can share with families. You can find information that you can read about to become more informed about homelessness, as we talked about earlier in the webinar. And then there are also a few other websites like the National Homeless website and the endhomeless.org website, where you can read upon their advocacy and their action and their ideas. You can also find out about the Senate and government and writing to your leaders to find out what they are doing and what you are doing and how they need to address this problem.
So we really want to just thank everyone for tuning in and watching. We really appreciate, and we really hope that in the end of this webinar that you do have more tools on how to advocate for School on Wheels.
Thank you so much, and we can take some questions from people right now. So if you do have a question for the presenters, please just type it into the question pane. We have one question just asking for a little bit of an explanation of what a hashtag does for the few of us who don't know. So what is the use of the hashtag? Why is it important to use a hashtag when you're
It's good to use a hashtag because you can easily look up a hashtag on Twitter or Instagram and then find what other people are posting. So if you were looking up End Homelessness, you could put that hashtag in Twitter and find other organizations or other individuals that are talking about homelessness. It's just an easier way to search for things, and then obviously the trend, and the idea is that you want things to become viral so that lots of people are talking about it and sharing your content.
Right. Great. Any other questions? Don't see any other questions. Oh, here's one. How do you guys feel about fundraising at a restaurant that will donate part of the money spent there to an organization?
I think it's great. Lots of schools do it. You have California Pizza Kitchen. You have lots of other restaurants that do it. Either they'll give a percentage of the proceeds, so 10%, or if somebody brings in a flyer, then they might donate a little bit more. I mean, they're great. The most I think we've ever raised from a restaurant fundraiser is about $500. So it's not to be sniffed at, but if, we have these all over in different communities, it's a great way of raising money and awareness, and obviously having a great night as well. Mohawk Bend is a pizza restaurant, and they're hosting one for us in May, and we have quite a few coming up in lots of different regions. So I would keep an eye out for information from your regional coordinators if you're a tutor or volunteer to find out what's going on in your particular area.
Okay, great. Some other questions coming in. One question from a tutor or a former tutor who wants to know how you can become an advocate and place tutors. I think maybe she means, Michelle, if you can hear me, just to define what you're talking about, do you mean become a tutor coordinator? Because we do have the need always for tutors to join us and become a little bit more involved in in School on Wheels by taking on either administrative or kind of an in-person meeting students role. We can always use tutor coordinators to help our regional coordinators meet more students and place more students. So if you're interested in becoming a tutor coordinator, if you have a few extra hours a week, you can email me after the broadcast or email your regional coordinator, and I will make sure to send on your information depending on what your region is. But yeah, of course, that's another great way you can help School on Wheels. Okay, so another question, how do we request advocacy materials to be sent to us? I think the tutor missed that part. Sinead or Lisa?
Yeah, so we did have our email up. It's marketing@schoolonwheels.org. This will also be posted on the website, so that way you'll have access to it. But we do have that email listed at the bottom of one of our slides.
Great. Yep, so just email the marketing department and they will send them right out to you. And another question, what is the biggest need as far as items for fundraising, backpacks, other items?
Yeah, we've got a list on our website for student needs and what the student's wish list is. Always backpacks and school supplies, but in terms of fundraising, cold hard cash. Always good.
Awesome. Okay, great. So it looks like those are all of the questions coming up. If any of the tutors attending do want to get more involved and have a question that wasn't answered in the webinar, just email me or you can email the marketing department and we will be sure to get back to you. Thank you so much to our presenters, Lisa and Sinead, and thank you to all of you who attended today and for taking an interest in spreading the word about School on Wheels. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
Bye.